Look, this is going to blow your mind. It's harder than getting Wi-Fi in a remote forest. That's how difficult it is to find properties today. You've long heard me say that a housing crash is 100% certain precisely because it's already happened, a supply crash, this collapse in inventory. And I've got a new chart that illustrates just how bad it is. You'll see its scope and magnitude better than any way I've ever seen it. Hi, I'm Keith Weinhold, Get Rich Education founder, best-selling author, Forbes Real Estate Council member, and 20-plus year real estate investor. Back around 2007 to 2010, you can see that America was oversupplied with housing by 1.5 million units. Yeah, we were actually in an overbuilt condition, and it was the global financial crisis then, and people lost their homes because they could lie about qualifying for a mortgage and then they couldn't make the payments. So by 2010, what happened is that a lot of contractors left the industry, just like some people left their homes. There was no need to build with that glut of homes. And by 2014, the tide began to turn. We were down to a small oversupply of homes to buy, the blue bars, and we had a lack of homes to rent, the red bars. By 2017, we were undersupplied in both types, but it was too late. So many carpenters and concrete workers and home builders, they had left the industry and they were gainfully employed elsewhere, and it's been hard to find people to retrain that want to do that type of work, so that by 2020 we had a serious and acute undersupply of homes. Homelessness was up. That's when the pandemic hit. So many people split up in order to get their own place, which increased housing demand and reduced the supply even further. And since then, it just keeps getting worse. We're now more than 2 million homes undersupplied. Some sources will show you that it's even more than that. We can also see that rental inventory in the red is even more paltry than primary residences, the blue. Our undersupplied nation continues to get even more undersupplied, as you can see with the rightmost bar hanging lowest on the chart here. What's next? The crisis will worsen due to immigration, all these new immigrants. In fact, mostly from an immigrant surge, it's fueled total U.S. population growth of 3.8 million people just last year alone. That right there is an all-time annual record in our nation's 248-year history. Homelessness has now soared to a record high, up 12% year over year to its highest reported level ever. How bad is it? Really? Well, we need to build 1.8 million homes per year to keep pace with demand. But we only started 1.5 million homes last year. That's what has put us in an even deeper hole. Well, will anything change? There are just a few encouraging signs of more apartment units that were built last year, but this is emblematic of the housing supply crash, this collapse. Not a price crash. Lack of supply is actually a hedge against falling real estate prices because demand is often outstripping supply. Now, some builders would build more, but see, oftentimes they choose not to because there's a smaller pool of qualified buyers today due to higher real estate prices and higher interest rates. And builders must also pay those higher interest rates, just like everyone else is, which is another obstacle to providing more new housing that we so badly need. And there are some signs of hope for more home building, but that's about all it really is, hope, including President Biden's new housing plans. That might help, but it's too little, too late. Now, the good news is that there is opportunity here for individual investors that I'll share with you later. But if one can even find a home, bad affordability is a hindrance. You're probably aware of that, but here's how bad it is. Per Zillow, the income needed to comfortably afford a home is up 80% since 2020, but incomes have only risen 23% since then. Let's break that down. Here's the income needed to buy a typical home. In 2020, it was $59K, and in 2024, $107K. What a jump. And then the median household income isn't nearly keeping up. In 2020, it was $66K, and in 2024, $81K. 31K, not nearly as much of a jump. Of course, this varies broadly across the nation. As you look over this, the income needed is from 38K up to 70K in Memphis, and from 263 up to 454K to afford the average San Jose home. So this is why wannabe first-time homebuyers have a hard time coming up with a down payment and reserves. That is a tall bar to clear, and the reason this hurts those first-time homebuyer dreams so much more than repeat homebuyers is because first-timers, they don't have any equity to roll forward from an existing property into the purchase. This miserable affordability to own a home, what does it do? Well, people need to live somewhere. That hasn't changed, so it's driving more rental demand. People want and need rental property, and in fact, this condition is beginning to set in. Look at the home ownership rate. It has already begun dropping from 66% to 65.7% quarter over quarter. That means there are 0.3% more renters. That's a few 100,000 Americans all added to the renter pool, and you can keep expecting more renters, the homeownership rate to continue to fall. How bad is it? Think about it this way. America has been coronated globally for remarkable achievements. There's the success of Henry Ford's automobile assembly line in 1913. We put a man on the moon in 1969. Artificial intelligence made giant leaps in 2023, but yet we can't house our own people in 2024, the most powerful nation in the world. And this crisis could persist beyond the year 2035 because we simply cannot build our way out of it quickly. Before I tell you about the opportunity that you have here in this, let me tell you, this month there's a heartfelt real estate anniversary in my family. Now, my parents aren't real estate investors at all. In fact, they've only owned one home their entire life. Mom and Dad moved into their old yellow Victorian house in tiny Coudersport, Pennsylvania in March of 1974, 50 years ago. They still live there today. When I visit, I sleep in the same bedroom since I was an infant, in the same home, in the same neighborhood, in the same town. And yes, that's me from when I last visited them, waving from out that same bedroom window. Really special, and my parents woke up there again today, happy, healthy, and together. So thanks for letting me briefly share that with you. The housing shortage opportunity here, it is for you to profit by providing others with good rental housing, as the ranks of renters are already swelling and expected to grow. Zillow recently stated that single-family rentals are to become the new starter homes, appealing to those priced out of buying. Redfin specifically predicts that this will be a good year for the single-family rental segment, and that's because there aren't as many single families available to rent, while demand for this type of rental is growing. There are more apartments available. America needs responsible people to provide good housing for them, people like you providing the housing. I would expect that you can achieve a 30% rate of return this way. Now you might be thinking 30%, that sounds excessively lofty and must entail some inordinate risk. It doesn't. Real estate has made more ordinary people wealthy than anything else, but most people, they don't know how to run the numbers and the 5 places that your returns come from. We're talking about you buying property with a 20% down payment that's already renovated or new build with a tenant. They're often properties that cost under $200K. That's the profitable sweet spot. Yeah, you've got to buy in America's investor advantaged areas away from the coasts. In fact, I have a video where I show you just how a 46% rate of return is achievable from rental property, even using some fairly conservative assumptions. As you'll see me run the numbers, I even show you where to find the properties that are conducive to this. And if you aren't initiated on any of this, I think you'll really find it valuable. In 8.5 minutes, you'll finally connect the dots on how strategic real estate investors build durable wealth. So watch this next. It's how real estate returns of 46% are actually realistic today.